Hello, I'm Dan Marr from Hamblett Kerrigan in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I've been practicing law here in New Hampshire for about 36 years, and in Massachusetts I've been practicing actively for approximately 28 years. So in today's vlog, I'm going to be talking about New Hampshire evictions. Basically, when you have an occupant of your property, whether or not it's a residential property or a commercial property, we'll talk about both of those, the eviction process in New Hampshire. Generally, you don't have a self-help right, even if you have a lease that says, and is very standard in commercial leases particularly, that say that if you default, they can change the locks and get you out. In New Hampshire, you still have to go through the court process of evicting the person. There's a statute involved, and you particularly have to go through it. There are forms that you are absolutely not required to use the exact form, but you have to have all the substance, so I certainly recommend you download the forms and use the forms. There's something called a demand for rent and an eviction notice. It used to be called a notice to quit, but now it's called an eviction notice for many years. The demand for rent is only when you actually have rent that's due, and you're trying to say if they don't pay this, then you get to evict them. You have a 7-day right to get them out if they haven't paid rent. That's due under their lease terms or their occupancy agreement, and then you have other rights if they're doing some serious harm or threatening maybe co-occupants of the building, or they're trying to they've done damage to the property, serious damage to the property. You might have a 7-day time period there. Most evictions are going to be 30 days. If you have a lease and you just want them out in the middle of the lease, you gotta, and that's the only reason, they haven't done anything wrong, they haven't breached the lease, you have to follow the lease, and you have to wait for the term to end up. But if you have a breach of the lease, you might still be able to do the 30-day reason for it. There's a variety of reasons under the eviction notice. You can follow those, and your attorney can help you, and I've certainly helped a lot of clients, and several clients with many evictions. Particular one, several clients that I've had quite a few evictions for that particular client, both commercial and in residential. And in those situations, I find it useful in the clients to actually have counsel there. So you follow through the eviction notice process, you fill it out, you serve it, the time period goes, and they haven't moved out. There's something called a landlord-tenant writ. You file that landlord-tenant writ with the circuit court, district division basically, of the court where the property is, and you seek to evict the person. A couple of things that people may not realize. If you've been a successful bidder in a foreclosure, you should go through the process of evicting the homeowner, going through that legal process, not just changing the locks. If you have somebody in there that's maybe was there as a significant other of somebody that was living in the property, but you never agreed to them living in the property, you still should go through the eviction process. The occupant should be evicted through that process, and giving them a 30-day notice is appropriate. You can talk to an attorney about that, but you shouldn't just self-help in regards to that. And again, in commercial properties, even though your lease clearly says you can change the locks, don't do it. Go through the legal process. You have a very good chance in being successful in those situations. I can tell you that my experience, both in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, is that commercial tenants are not afforded the same rights as residential tenants because they're a business and they should have done what they were doing, and if they don't, they lose their business. The residential losing your home is more significant to the judicial system and the courts, but still, if they haven't paid the rent and they haven't they breached a lease, or if they've done something else, the court has a little bit of discretion, but is not terribly sympathetic, because landlords need to pay their bills too, and the courts do agree to that. I find that also when you go forward with the landlord-tenant writ, and you get a hearing scheduled quite quickly when the other side has responded. If the other side has responded, you get to go in front of the judge and you explain your situation to the court. There's legal aid there to help residential tenants if there's somebody that doesn't have the money and they need some help for getting some free advice, and legal aid is wonderful to give them some advice. They're not available for commercial, so I've actually had cases where the person says that they're insolvent, they need to seek the legal aid, and they don't get the benefit of that. So the process there happens, you don't have to go through mediation in the eviction process. I don't go forward with that often if I can't settle the case I really want to, between myself representing the landlord and then the tenant on the other side, or if they have counsel, the tenant's counsel. I generally don't want a mediator to deal with that. So I'll go forward, we get the eviction. There's appeal rights there that a lawyer can explain to you, but basically there's a very short time period for them to seek an appeal, give a notice of appeal, and if they haven't done that, then the writ of possession issues. The sheriff comes and they will eventually force the person out of the property. This is a complicated, not a complicated process, but a complex issue to make sure that you do everything the right way. And when you do it the right way, you get the eviction and you get the person out of there. I'm Dan Marr at Hamblett Kerrigan, Nashua, at 603-883-5501. I'm happy to discuss any of these matters with you. Or you can check out our website at nashualaw.com. That's nashualaw.com. Look forward to working with you if the opportunity so arises. Thank you.